And then I have recently become involved in the Moline City Council. I got involved because I was asked. There was an opening, there was a partially served term that hadn't been fulfilled, and so I was invited, and it's a nice way to go on city council because you don't have to go through an election first. People often ask me, do you enjoy it? And I say, that's a little strong. I don't know if I enjoy it, but I'm compelled to do it. It's challenging. There are so many conflicts in every vote. There is not a vote that has occurred on that council chamber that everybody agrees with, all the citizens agree with. It just doesn't happen. I am privileged, though. I have a lot of information before I make my vote. I have citizens that communicate with me, and when I receive emails and phone calls, I don't think of it as like a mini vote where if I get 5 phone calls for and 3 phone calls against, I'm going to vote for it. I think of myself as a representative, and I'm there gathering up the information to make sure that I make a decision that aligns with all of the other things that are going on in the city. It's not just a special interest decision, it's a community decision. And so I always appreciate the information, but I often disappoint people in the way I vote. But I do try to do my best, and I can tell you honestly that I don't think there's been a vote where I don't understand why someone voted the opposite way. It's just very complicated, and anyway, so I don't enjoy is strong, but it is a good thing to be involved in because it impacts my business, it impacts my employees. Everything in this community has a reflection on how my business is going to do. And I can also tell you that Moline is run very, very effectively. It's a financially sound community, and we're lucky. I don't know if everybody's residents of Moline here, but we're lucky to be in a community like this. We have a lot of struggles and challenges, but I think that Moline is doing basically the right thing every time. And then, so I've done the Moline thing as well as all of the other groups. And what has motivated me to do that is really the community ecosystem. Everything is, there's symbiotic relationships everywhere. Everything is intertwined. Education standards impact my company's success. Real estate values impact my company's success. This community being attractive to other sales tax generators impacts me. Stable employee base, healthy employees, and one entity's prosperity supports all of the others. So, kind of in summary, my focus when I bought the business was employee success, business success, community success. And that is why I got involved in all the organizations that I have been involved in. It's not because I'm benevolent. It's because I benefited from those things. Being involved, being informed is powerful. It helps. It is a good thing. So at the beginning, I mentioned that Winston Churchill once said, "Some people regard private enterprise as a predatory tiger to be shot." Oh, I'm supposed to be done. Others to look on it as a cow they can milk. Not enough people see it as a healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon. And I can tell you that I went through a terrifying initial challenge of getting that business where it needed to be. We had extensive opportunities to improve, but picking the right ones and doing the right thing to get us where we needed to be was scary. And then I went through the horrifying economic downturn. Fortunately, we were healthy enough that when we went in, we survived it, and when we came out, we were nimble, we were lean, and as the economy has turned around, at least for my business, we have prospered because of that challenge and where we were when we started that challenge. So I would like to say that today Evans Premium Manufacturing is again healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon. And I must say that Rock Island is a wonderful place to operate a business. They are very supportive of their businesses. I've had a good experience there. I love Moline, I live in Moline, but Rock Island is wonderful.
I have a city council question.
Okay.
Can you give us any of the background about the John Deere house and the falling wall?
Well, I don't you know, you kind of get information, it's quite a long drawn-out thing, but the gentleman that purchased the house split the property, and there wasn't an opportunity to prevent that from happening. So he split off the property, and so that wall was by itself on a property of basically no value. He sold the house, so there's someone new there. So now we've got a wall that's associated with a property of no value, and we have a problem. You know, it is a legitimate problem. Homeowners are responsible for the care and uptake of, that didn't sound right, but anyway, the care of those types of retaining walls, but realistically, what are we going to do? So I think everybody read in the paper that there was it's a municip's award. That doesn't mean we're going to get it. It means that we have a legal right to it, and we would have to go to civil court. And my impression is that worthless property, not that the owner is worthless, but the property is worthless. That owner of that property is not inclined to fix that wall. So it's horrible how expensive that wall is to fix. $500,000?
I thought it was 200.
No, it's $500.
That was ridiculous.
It's crazy.
I mean, you need
It's
you need
a
everything.
big wall, but some of the issues that you have to recognize is if the city fixes it, they have to pay prevailing wages. They have to do it to the engineering standards so the city does everything. It is going to be a high-end wall because we have become responsible for it if the owner isn't.
Do they have to fix more than what's falling
Yeah,
down? They
we have to
do the whole wall?
replace the whole thing, because the other stuff that's falling down that is not falling down will fall down. It's the same design.
It's just such a part of a historical building.
It
that
is,
We don't want
and
to
it will be
lose.
resolved, but it's just kind of, it's not a simple fix. You know, we don't, $500,000 we could spend on something that benefits us all, or $500,000 we can spend it on something that has to be done, and the responsible party is not feeling responsible for it.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the business, maybe a bit about its history and
Sure.
what you do today? What are these things, these widgets you make? And
I make cylindrical steel parts for the ag and
cylindrical
construction.
do you market them, to one company or all over the world, or what do you
You
do?
know, I torment people because I really don't do any marketing. Most of our business comes from Deere or Caterpillar will find a supplier and they'll say, buy your parts from Stephanie because I make the cheapest. I'm very competitive with China. When you look at all of the logistics costs and all of the other things, we beat them because we're more efficient, we're better, we're more responsive to quality, we're easily competing in that area. One of the things that was kind of a bad deal though is when the, I guess there are tariffs, went on the black steel pipe. So any incoming black steel pipe got marked up 30%. The national suppliers of that product bumped their prices up 30%. So all of a sudden I had a 30% increase in material and I had no means of getting that covered. And I don't have a 30% profit margin. So I deal with those kinds of things. But the parts I make go in everything. There's not a John Deere tractor that doesn't have one of my parts in it. There's cylindrical steel that can be very tight tolerance and be associated with an engine, or they could be out, just separating two plates to keep them from rubbing together. I make a lot of them. One of the things about the products that we make is we have CNC products and high production cutoff machine products. I make a lot more high production cutoff machine product going out the door, but I would say the profit is about split between the two. So I have a low volume product and a high volume product, about the same profit. I don't know if anybody remembers, well, you probably do, the gross receipts sales tax that was up and being talked about several years ago. I was one of the people, the business owners, that got involved in that, and I spoke about that. And I'm not a business owner that says, oh, I'm gonna shut down. Like you're gonna ruin me. I'm gonna quit. Because most business owners aren't like that. They're like, we're gonna survive no matter what. And I'm one of those. But I said, you know what I will do? I'll shut down my high production cutoff because that's the volume one, and I'll put all my resources into the high profit one, and all of my employees are over here. It's going to impact the employee, unemployment numbers if you do this. And I know I'll directly impact it because that's exactly what I'll do to survive. I don't know, what else is of interest?
How old is the company?
Oh,
What
it's
they did in
it's
the
over
past?
50 years old. So that company has been selling product to John Deere for over 50 years. It's gone through different ownership configurations. So there's been partners that have come and gone, there's locations that have changed. But that's kind of the trick, to get those customers. You had better already been in the door, especially for a mature industry, because they aren't looking for new suppliers. They have good suppliers. If you aren't already in 25 years ago, it would be tough to be a cylindrical steel part producer and get into the door at John Deere.
Yes.
Do you have a simple, understandable way of telling people how the accuracy at which you make some of these parts, maybe in terms of a human hair or something else?
Well, I remember that we have very high quality. We'll go for years without a quality issue. We have excellent delivery performance. We'll go for years without having a late order. We're good at that kind of stuff, but it doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen. And I had a heat-treated part that went out, and it was kind of a stupid part. It was supposed to be a bushing, so it was supposed to be a part that prevents rubbing one part on the other. It kind of takes the rubbing damage, and then you can replace it. So that's what it was supposed to be. But in the design, they have like a catalog of parts, and the engineer goes through and he grabs a part that'll fit in that spot, and they use that part as a bushing in other applications, but this particular engineer used it as a spacer under compression. The problem with that was that a bushing has a heat-treated surface. It was a thin bushing, and it had a heat-treated surface, so once you put it in compression, it has a tendency to crack. And the issue was that my heat treater, who's a wonderful heat treater, very good heat treater, they had heat treated it, I think it was 3/1000ths of an inch too deep. So it was heat treated, the hardness was too deep into the part. So it's got a gooey middle, it's got this hard outer surface, and that's how it works as a bushing. But they went just a little too thick, and John Deere figured that out and said, it's your fault that all these parts are cracking. You are going to have to pay to rework all of these machines. You are going to give us $300,000. And I was like, really? That's horrible. And so we talked about it, and John Deere engineers got involved. It wasn't, we were on our own. And they looked at the design of the part, and nobody could hold that tight a tolerance. Heat treating is not that good. I mean, they just can't do it. They can't do it consistently. And you don't know where it is unless you destroy the part. So different parts could have slightly different. So what they did was they changed the design of the part. I'm probably not allowed to disclose this, but I ended up giving them $7,000. Me and the heat treater split it. And we all went on our merry way. And they resolved the issue by redesigning the part. So I can't even remember what your question was. That was a horrible experience, though. You don't know how many nights of sleep I lost worrying about my $300,000 debt to Deere.
Well, maybe my question is, how do you describe holding a tolerance of 1 or 2 10,000ths of an inch?
And we do that, but
Yes.
we don't, not all our machines can do it. And not all our operators are skilled to that level. That's a very tight tolerance. It's very difficult. But equipment is wonderful now. My business, before I got involved, it did a lot of grinding work, but CNC lathes, and I don't know if everybody knows how a CNC lathe works, but the raw material comes in, the material spins, and tools come and work the surface of it or drill the end while the material spins, unlike your handheld drill where that tool is spinning. But they are so sophisticated that they can hold the tolerances on a part that was designed 40 years ago that used to require a grinding operation. So that's another interesting thing, is I have parts that we've been producing for 20 years, the design hasn't changed. And those prints are kind of fun to look at compared to the prints on Pro-E now. They're different looking. Question in the back?
How many employees does Evans currently have?
I have 35 right now. And then my joke is, I wish it was 34 because that one really made me mad. We have a very healthy relationship. Yes?
Stephanie, what's the length of liability on a product you produce?
Forever.
Forever?
Yeah. We hold all of our documents forever. And Our controls are very good. Typically, our customers' controls aren't as good as ours, and so they lose traceability of that part. So if there's a problem with it, often they can't tell me what order it came from. But I can tell you, if you can tell me the order, I can tell you the heat number of the material we produced it from. I can tell you the guy's social security number that made the part. I can tell you what time of day it ran on this machine, what time of day it ran through the cleaner. You know, I know all that information. We keep all that documentation forever until there's a fire. Yes?
Yeah, I was wondering if your company ever submits any patents to the government at all?
We do not do any design work. We don't do any straight design work. We get involved in processes when a new part is designed, and we'll talk to the engineers and say, you know, you may want to think about modifying this dimension because you can get raw material that is that dimension and eliminate a process. So we kind of talk about that, but we don't take any ownership over if they make the change and there's a problem with it. It doesn't become our responsibility. So we don't do any design. And that keeps us in a different insurance bracket as well. You have to pay for extra insurance if you do design work. So we just have to be responsible that what they told us to make, we made. Whether it works or not is their problem. Are there any other questions?